Lofty, another reaction video? Where are the video games? Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know you had a problem with it. Well, if you have a problem with it, then... Guys, I'm joking. I just missed you guys. Even though I just saw you yesterday. This is definitely one of my favorite series now. Like, this is never going away, by the way. Oh! Alright, this one's by llama. It's called The Creature
llama
of
sale,
the
llama
Forest.
sale.
What the freak?
We've got big llamas, little llamas. What about medium-sized llamas? No.
Oh.
We don't have those.
Oh, wow.
And llamas on hoodies. All 15% off until midnight on the 15th. The link is in the description.
Ooh, okay, llama.
Now, back to the video.
I like that merch. Guys, please hit the subscribe button.
My parents were traveling for the weekend, as it was their anniversary, and to no surprise, they wanted to be alone.
All right.
This meant that I had to take care and be in charge of my little brother,
Dude, you like a
Oliver.
grown man.
Our home and neighborhood were surrounded by woods, and Ollie liked ambling around the trail that was behind our house, but he couldn't go back there without permission. So naturally, since I was 18 and he was 10, I'd have to go with him for precautionary purposes. It was a little while before lunch, so I decided to join Ollie in his trek, so that way my appetite would be in a more salubrious state. It was spring, and the leaves were meager and just starting to grow back onto the trees, which also meant I had to watch out for any sort of dangerous animals that could possibly lurk out and cause harm to any of us. I could hear Ollie sniffing the air, and then him groaning at something.
Bro, what?
Something smells like shit.
Oh, wow.
He said nasally
10 years old, huh?
as he pinched his nostrils shut. Hey, watch your mouth,
honestly,
I retorted, surprised by the sudden curse. Just because mom and dad aren't here doesn't mean you're allowed to say whatever. I did, however, sniff the air. He was right. There was a smell of rotten meat that permeated my nose. It was like roadkill. I saw what looked like legs by a tree about several yards from us. Stay right there, okay?
No, don't.
I instructed Ollie.
No.
He nodded in agreement while keeping his hand on his nose. I leisurely walked forward and turned the tree to see what the thing was. It was a deer, and it was dead all right.
No deer.
Flies droned and swarmed around it. I was used to seeing dead animals around here. Hunting was pretty frequent. But there was something that rather took me aback.
The head.
It was the fact that the way its neck had been ravaged into. It was almost entirely gone and torn down to the bone. A bear would go down to the muscle and stop there. But to the bone? This had to have been from something much more vicious. But what?
Whoa. How does he know this?
I looked back to see if Ollie had actually done what I urged him to. He did, but he was peering out to the woods. His eyes, so fixated, were filled with concern and his face unnerved. You okay, bud? I asked, noticing his expression. Something's out there, he murmured, as he continued to seem alarmed. I looked to see if he was kidding around. All that was in my view were the trees and brush. It might have been a deer or something. Don't worry so much.
Another deer.
Come on, let's go back and get some lunch. And so we did, just to reassure him. I made ourselves some peanut butter and jelly sandwiches as we watched a movie for a bit. Ollie usually liked his sandwiches, and he'd been done with it in a few minutes, but he ate his so sluggishly. I didn't bother asking what he saw.
I mean, it's the smell,
I figured that he must have scared himself and that he'd get over it in a while. However, the back of my mind was still unsettled by that deer. How could its neck have been mutilated like that to such a grisly state? Night dawned upon both of us, and Ollie was begging me to let him sleep beside me as I put him to bed.
Bro, just let him do it.
What's gotten into you? I asked him. That thing's still out there. It was staring at me. It was dark and big.
Let him do it. Let him sleep in your room.
You just scared yourself. If anything was out there, it wasn't anything dangerous. He continued to beg me, but I kept refusing and told him to close his eyes and that he'd forget about it in the morning. I laid down in my bed, ready for a good rest. I like keeping my TV on just so I have a source of light in my room. I felt my eyes starting to sag and get heavy as I slowly felt myself growing drowsy. There was a sudden snap from outside. It sounded like a stick being splintered. I figured it was some animal, like another deer, but what would be out at this time of night? My TV was still on, So I decided to watch a little bit more, just so I could go back to sleep. Without even thinking, my gaze floated to the window, and my heart punched the inside of my chest.
What happened? Oh my
There was
gosh.
something at the window. I couldn't see what it
Bro,
was.
are you on a
save for
second
the
floor?
eyes. They were milky and opaque, almost
Oh.
lifeless, but they were staring right through me.
No freaking way,
I tried
bro.
to make it seem like I didn't see the figure outside and just roll over onto my stomach
No,
and
don't
pretend
do
to be
that.
asleep to try and avert it.
Lay towards
I
it.
then heard something against the glass.
Get
The
up.
thing was scratching my window.
Get up,
The
bro.
sound was piercing my ears and grated at my nerves. My chest started to feel full as my breath started
Boy, ain't no f***ing way.
to shorten. My window was starting to open.
Bro, are you
And I could
serious?
hear that thing climbing into my room.
Are you serious? You just
Its
go.
presence
Oh my
was
gosh,
clearly
bro.
made
Okay.
as its shadow covered my entire
And he's just
bed
gonna
in
leave it.
black. I sat there
you
hyperventilating for what seemed like hours until I felt the mattress start to sink in. The springs groaned as the thing had climbed onto the bed.
Okay, and
I
you're not
felt I could literally die from fright right
Dude,
there.
punch him.
The thing started to move across my bed. I was trying my best not to breathe so hard, but I was completely terror-stricken.
No, he's trolling.
It then stopped and stood right at my shoulder.
Yo, some people are just. I don't understand. Hey, bro, you got a bet with this man or something? Like, are you trying to look cool? You're not fooling anyone, bro.
I felt its giant feet clasping onto my shoulder blades. I could hardly breathe. I had a mirror to my right that allowed me to see what was above me, and chills ran down my spine.
Chill.
The creature was black,
Oh, wow.
large, and at least 7 feet tall and lanky. Its arms went down to its calves. Its chest leaned over me and stretched to an impossible degree.
Okay.
It didn't even look human or animal.
Maybe sleep
It
paralysis.
seemed alien.
Maybe.
I shut my eyes tight,
Okay,
hoping
so
that it was
you're
just
18
some
and
dream.
you're treating it like a
I could
6-year-old.
start to hear the creature's heavy breaths and growling. It sounded like a dog, but much more disturbing. As it grasped harder, I feared the worst. My ears were ringing. I wasn't breathing while I bit my tongue. My eyes were shut so tight, and the blood flow in my head stopped.
Oh,
almost
look at
completely.
this, bro.
Something then beckoned it off of me, and the creature leapt off. Through my ringing ears, I thought I could hear something like thumps and rusty hinges. I painfully felt the blood flow starting to come back.
Yeah, you
and
passed
I
out.
blacked out.
Of course you did.
Morning came and I had a massive headache now, and my chest felt so tight. I needed to go wake up Ollie and
that
make
had to be sleep
breakfast,
paralysis.
and I reluctantly did so.
Bro, your brother's
I
dead.
went into his room but found his bed empty.
Yeah.
I checked all
There's
of
no way.
downstairs to check if he was there
Come
somewhere.
on, man. You idiot. What you think's
Nothing.
gonna happen?
I then thought of the one place he could definitely be if he was hiding. I went outside and took to the path in the back of the woods. I walked some ways while trying to get over the pain in my head when I saw his
gosh.
bare feet by the tree.
Oh my
Ollie,
goodness.
I said,
He's
exhausted
dead.
and annoyed in my grimace. Come on,
His head
what
was
are you?
ripped off.
I stopped. I felt my whole entire world collapse as I was bludgeoned with every single negative emotion possible. I
Bro.
put 2 and 2 together,
He's dead.
and it answered my questions as it brought my distress up tenfold. Ollie was sitting there.
Gosh.
His skin was pale. His cloudy eyes trickled with blood, and his neck was mangled to the bone. He was dead. He wasn't lying. That creature was still out there.
Oh my goodness. Alright, this next one's called Disturbing Vacation Story 3. Man, that last one still kind of shook me a little bit. Like, dude was an idiot.
It was a summer ago. My family and I had gone to a cabin that most would use for a winter vacation, but my family wasn't like that.
Okay.
The cabin was located in the middle of the forest. There was no cell phone service, so, as you can imagine, I was pissed. My mom always complained to me about being isolated and confined to the comforts of my phone. I always found solace in my phone, since being around people made me feel irrational and just plain weird.
Okay, that's
My
not
parents
good.
never understood that. Anyway, my little sister is 6 years old and was playing around in the forest. She had gone a bit too far out of my sight, and I started to get a
Bro,
little
no.
worried.
Don't.
I called
Don't
out
kill
her
the child
name, but
again.
got no response. I then went in the direction that she did and found nothing but a bloodied bow.
Guys, please.
My
Llama,
eyes widened
Llama.
as I frantically ran around looking for her. I found a blood trail that led into the deeper parts of the forest.
Bro, we just started. It's a minute in. Please, no.
I hesitated, but nothing was going to stop me from saving my sister. I followed the trail for as far as it went. After about an hour, the blood stopped at a hole.
She's
I
buried,
debated
bro.
whether I should go back and tell my parents.
Yeah, you should.
I didn't
But
think
at the
they'd
same
believe
time,
me, even
what
if
do you
I
mean they
did
wouldn't
say
believe
that
you?
my sister was missing. There's no denying my parents thought I was insane. Despite my fear, I jumped
my
into
gosh.
the hole. I fell
Dang.
for what felt like forever. Then I finally hit water.
What the
My
freak?
face morphed into disgust
Morphed.
as I stumbled through what I thought was a sewer,
Bro,
since there was no light.
There's no guarantee
I
she's
looked
even
up
in there.
out of the hole and saw a tiny white dot.
Okay, yeah, he
I
might have
started
cooked
to
himself.
walk around. It was crunching under my feet. I paid no attention to it since I thought it was some dead leaves or sticks that had fallen into the sewer.
I just realized. Imagine if she's playing a prank.
That was until I fell.
Would
Some
you fall?
unknown liquid had splashed all over me. I remembered that my phone was in my back pocket, and I pulled it out and shined it on myself.
All right.
Time seemed to slow down
What do
as
you
I
mean?
realized what I was walking in. It was a river of fresh blood.
Oh,
The blood had absolutely soaked me. I held in a scream as to not alert any nearby creatures.
bro.
I then ran through the connection of tunnels and refused to stop until I started hearing
No.
footsteps behind me.
No.
I stopped, turned around, and
Bro.
shined my flashlight around. The light from my phone landed on a distant figure. It looked so small, so maybe it was a dog or an alligator
ain't no dog,
that
bro.
had sneaked in. I stupidly started to move towards it,
Bro.
and as I got closer, the figure started to get clearer. I
Is your
started
sister?
to see that it wasn't a dog or an alligator. As soon as I realized this,
What is that?
I stopped in my tracks and stared. It looked like me.
What?
Its body was contorted. Their back faced towards the ground, and its head was turned right side up and faced towards me. Its legs were normal, but its arms were legs as well. It had jagged teeth, and it was chewing on what was left of my sister's head.
Oh.
I saw my parents' head beside it. I stepped back
my
in
gosh.
shock and fear. The mutant of myself charged towards me. In a state of panic, I tried to run away, but I slipped. I hit my head on the rock and passed out.
This freaking. How are you still alive? Oh, he's not. Okay. This man really gonna jump in a hole. Oh my goodness. Yo. They were just trying to have a vacation. He's the killer.